In a recent study conducted by FlexJobs, 58% of workers said that they would absolutely look for a new job if they couldn't continue to work remotely in their current role. This means that flexibility and autonomy are key to employee success and happiness. And while it also can be beneficial to your business, you do need to go about implementing flexible work schedules the right way. I'm Skye Schooley, a staff writer with business.com, and today I'm joined by Dearmon Kornick. She is a professional time management coach and the head of community for Clockwise to talk about the benefits and challenges of implementing flexible work schedules. Hey, Anna, thank you so much for being here to talk about implementing flexible work hours. To get us started, why should companies embrace flexible work hours? What are maybe some of the benefits that it might bring?
Definitely. Great question. And thank you so much for having me, by the way. So one thing that we've really seen in the last year is that remote work, flexible working arrangements really are a win-win for both the company and the employee. Companies are seeing increased productivity, and on the employee side, they're seeing better work-life balance. Not to mention the fact that avoiding rush hour traffic is a huge win.
So we know some of the good. What about some of the bad? What are some potential challenges of implementing a flexible work schedule?
For as many benefits to a flexible working schedule and remote work that exist, there are always going to be the challenges on the flip side. You know, one of the biggest challenges is deciding at the beginning, deciding upfront, what exactly will that flexible work policy look like, and making sure that it's clearly communicated, clearly articulated, and that all of the expectations are not only communicated, but understood by everyone on the team. And just making sure that there's fairness and equity involved, depending on the type of role and the members of the team, making sure that the policy reflects personalities, roles, and responsibilities.
Got it. So you had mentioned some challenges such as maybe communication, equity, policies, things of that nature. How can businesses overcome these or mitigate these challenges? And what are some best practices for implementing flexible work schedules?
As I mentioned, making sure that you decide upfront what that policy is going to look like, and then making sure that that is captured and clearly communicated. But there are a few things that a successful flexible work policy should include, and those include, in-office flexibility. What exactly does in-office flexibility for those who are reporting to the office? Are there certain positions that require more in-office time and those that don't? Making sure that it is very clear up front what that in-office flexibility looks like. And then on the flip side, what does that remote flexibility look like? Are employees expected to be at their desks in front of their laptops for a specific number of hours? Is it the same across the board? Is it different for positions? There are a lot of decisions to make that really are unique to the company and to the function. So in addition to in-office flexibility and remote flexibility, it's also making sure that you articulate what the in-office requirements are. Because it's one thing to have that flexibility about when you come in, what you do when you come in, but what are those requirements? Are there specific days during the week in which everyone reports to the office? And when you're in the office, are you required to be there for a certain period of time doing specific types of work or collaboration? Again, making sure that all of that is articulated up front, and then making sure that remote work equipment and setup is also considered. We've all been working remotely for the last year and a half. It feels like forever at this point, but it's really unfair to assume that everyone is going to have access to the same equipment. And so that's something that companies really need to consider is, what are we going to provide for our employees in order to make sure that everyone has the same opportunities to show up as their best self. One thing that's really fantastic about Clockwise is that each employee is provided a $500 stipend to enhance their work from home environment, whatever they would like that to look like. I actually ordered a really fantastic ergonomic chair that I know is going to make my work from home experience so much better. And it's being really thoughtful about how you can make that either transition to a work environment, from a work environment to a remote environment, or just making that remote environment much more comfortable. And then finally, making sure that decisions are made, articulated, and in a policy about what tech and safety and security look like. Are you willing to permit your employees to work from a coffee shop, per se, which then in a public Wi-Fi network could open up your company's network to potential attacks. And so just making sure that you're very, very clear when it comes to your flexible work policy on those 5 pieces. What's the in-office flexibility? What's the remote work flexibility? The in-office requirements? What's that tech and equipment setup look like? And then what about safety and security?
So before we wrap this up for today, did you have any sort of maybe time management tips for workers and employers who are trying to navigate flexible work schedules?
One of my favorite productivity pitfalls is, well, I guess I probably shouldn't call it a favorite, but one of the most common productivity pitfalls is Parkinson's law. And Parkinson's law states that work expands to fill the time allotted. And Parkinson's law has existed pre-flexible work environments. It's existed in office settings forever. And it basically tells us that without setting boundaries on our work, without setting boundaries on our time, we literally could continue working forever. And so one of the amazing things about our product Clockwise is that you do have the ability to set what are your working hours versus what are your meeting hours. And you're able to make that decision for yourself, make that decision within your team about what those boundaries are going to look like for you, which only enhances your work-life balance. One of the amazing things that I found about Clockwise is being able to communicate our availability. Having this new flexibility means that you can't just pop into someone's office as we have in the past for a quick conversation. And this really requires more intentional collaboration than ever. And that takes knowing when someone else is available. And with Clockwise, you're able to automatically see what someone else's availability is, which enhances that communication, enhances that collaboration. It just really helps the team work together toward that intentional collaboration.
Great. Well, thank you for all of your expert insight today, Anna. That was all that we had for today.
Thank you.